Alicia.
Technology jobs with similar skills, only 17% of women are in these positions. Only 4% of the mobile developers are women, and 7% of tech startups are led by women. My name is Alicia Carr. I'm the CEO and founder of the Purple Evolution, PEVO, previously known as the Purple Pocketbook. This woman is a self-taught iOS mobile developer that created the first domestic violence app for the state of Georgia. And yes, I am an African American, and I am the statistic. In high school, we learned about the IBM punch cards, and I was addicted. I knew from then I wanted to be a computer programmer. But because of my economic situation, I was unable to afford to go to college. So I fell in love, got married, and followed my husband into the military. While in the military, I did a lot of retail jobs. So I got really tired and wanted a job change. So I decided to take a couple of college courses on the military base. I learned MS-DOS and DBase. There was DBase 1, DBase 2. And so taking those courses, I took that information, put it on my resume, and went to every bank in the local area where I worked. Finally got a job with one of the local banks and became a DBase programmer. And I was in heaven. I finally found what I really love to do. And did that job for about a year. And I came home one day and my husband said, guess what? I'm like, what? We're going to Germany. And I'm like, okay. And then that was like, okay, so that was my dream job. And so I was like, well, you know what? I still have the technical skills. So I was able, while I was in Germany, to get a job as a technician, help desk technician. And so while being a help desk technician, they had old computers, the old floppy disk computers. So remember those? My goodness, I was like, and so I would take these old computers that wasn't working, bring them home, take them apart, put them together again to get them to work. We was there in Germany for 4 years, and my husband said, I'm tired of this. I just ready to get out of the military. I want to be with my family. So we moved to Atlanta. And while we were here in Atlanta, my husband gave me the idea to start a business. And he said, why don't you start a technician business, building computers, being a consultant for small businesses. And I was like, well, that's a great idea. So we started Macintosh Enterprise. And while I was doing Macintosh Enterprise, I then got a job at a technology company doing help desk. And it was awesome because back then it was like the place to learn everything about technology. You was able to code, troubleshoot, and they gave you the freedom, like any other technical company, to be creative. Well, while I was working there, I learned how to do Java and HTML. And while I was learning HTML, I was like, dang, I wanted to create a website. So I created this website, and it's called African American Literary Forum. And that when Amazon only did books. Now, search Amazon for a book was not easy. So I created a website specifically for my children and for me to find books. And I would link up all the books from Amazon into my website. Well, the page exploded because I had authors contacting me, wanting me to add their book to the page, and then they were sending me books. And it got to the point it got so big, and I was like, I couldn't handle it because I was the only one doing it, so I let it go. I also let Macintosh Enterprise go because of the fact that there was these computer repair shops building up in every corner. Now, there was no tablets, there was just these computers. So I got fired from that job and took a less job doing admin assistant for an environmental company. And while I was working there, I met this amazing woman. Her name was Katina. And Katina worked 2 jobs. She worked there, and she also owned her own beauty salon business. But she also was in a very, very violent relationship with her boyfriend. And while we became very good friends, one morning, Monday morning, I was listening to the radio. And I heard on the radio, somebody got shot in front of their driveway. The shooter got away. And so I picked up my Motorola Razor and said, "Girl, Katina, where you at? I heard on the radio somebody got hurt. Girl, you better call me and let me know you all right." Got to work, she wasn't there. And so by later on that afternoon, we then get the information that she was the one I heard about on the radio. She had got killed in front of her driveway. Katina really changed my life, where a girlfriend of mine, Shanita, told me that as much as you coach women, you need to be a life coach. So I became a certified life coach to empower women. That got to be stressful. Empowering women was a lot for me. So I decided to add some exercise to my life to take that stress off. And I bought my first Apple product, which was the Apple Shuffle. And I was in love. I was in heaven. And then I bought my first iMac. My husband thought it was crazy because those iMacs were kind of expensive. And he was like, "I done sold everything out my house, put it on eBay to get as much money as possible to buy that iMac." But I bought him this little device so he could connect up his little cassette player to, so he could take all his music that he had on his cassette and transfer it over to the iPad. And he was like, "Okay, I'm all right. We good. And so a couple of years later, I decided I wanted to get my first iPad. And I was like, okay. So I stand online at Perimeter Mall, because that's my favorite spot for Apple. I meet all these amazing Apple people, and I was like, okay. And I looked in front of me, I seen this little boy in front of me. I was like, "What you doing here?" "I know my man gave me $800 for no iPad." He said, "It's his money." I was like, "Well, how is your money? How do you get that kind of money?" He said, "He worked for it." I said, "What do you do?" He said he created an app, and he got people working for him. And I was like, "Well, you got a lot of money there." And I was like, "So how did you?" I said, "You went to college to develop this app?" He said, "No, I learned this on YouTube." I turned around and looked at my husband and said, "I want to do what he do." 2012, my husband told me, "Follow your dreams, follow your passion." So I went out there and started looking for a school to go to. The schools that was out there back then were very expensive. And so I reached out to Atlanta, Iowa's Developers Group, and 2 people responded. And there was one guy who was doing the class, and another guy was a mentor. So I took advantage of both. So I took the class. The guy was not a good teacher. So I was like, forget about that one. So I took advantage of the mentor. And he referred me to books and tutorials and stuff to help me get better at becoming a mobile developer. And I just didn't feel confident enough to really go out there to build this app for domestic violence. And he was the one that gave me the idea for domestic violence, the mentor. So September of 2013, I found out that BitFountain had an online course. It was 3 months to learn Objective-C. So it was only $125, $25 discount, and you look up. And so I went ahead, asked my husband, said, "Hey, sweetie, can I have $100? And so my husband gave me $100 to take the course. When he left the house at 5 o'clock in the morning, I was on that computer every morning, learning that code for 3 months. End of December, I finished the course. January 2014, I started building the Purple Pocketbook. It took me 3 months to build it. I finished it in March. The challenge next was submitting it to Apple. It took 6 weeks. A girlfriend who had no technical skills or coding experience to find a problem, to help me fix it, to resubmit it again, and it was approved May 2nd, 2014. I was like, "Oh, finished." So I started sending out resumes, saying, hey, mobile developer, looking for a job, sending out my resumes, just sitting there waiting for a reply. And then Ray Rice. And my phone was blowing off the hook from family members, friends, my husband asking me, what are you doing? I'm like, what you mean? Your door just opened up for you. Start pushing the app. I saw an article on the internet from Valdosta District Attorney's Office where they were trying to find a way of a solution to try to fight domestic violence in their community. I contacted them. They invited me to the Domestic Violence Task Force. I showed them the app. They fell in love with the app. And so, I started pushing the app. But while I was doing that, I also decided to become a teacher, instructor for Women Who Code. So I found time once a month to help women to become mobile developers like me, because I knew the challenge I had to go through. So while I was doing that and helping them, we're now working on promoting the app and helping women code. April of 2015, I was at a coffee shop with some friends and a family member, and I met this amazing person. His name was Daryl. And we were sitting there having coffee, and he happened to mention some camera people was coming in, because Atlanta's now hot for movies. They were coming in, and he was like, hey, you're looking for some extra? And I was like, me! And so we bust out laughing, and then I started talking to him. I told him my story. And he said, right then and there, he asked, can I do a blog about you? And so he did a blog about me, and he called it Tech Coding Grandma. And it was so cool. And he was like, Alicia, I know somebody else that would love your story. So he sent it on to Hypopotamus. And Hypopotamus did a story on me and got the most hits ever. 17,000 people clicked on my story between Facebook and Twitter. While that was happening, when Nicole contacted me and said, hey, Alicia, you think you're interested in going to the WWDC 15? I was like, yeah, of course. Whatever. You get me in, whatever. So a couple of weeks later, I got in. And I was doing the dance. I'm like, woo! Dream come true. I'm going to the WWDC. Called my husband and said, hey, we going to WWDC. Well, they were all going to pay for one person, but he still got to go. And so we got there. And, before we got there, Dow told me to get some t-shirts. And I was like, okay. And Dow he's an entrepreneur. He is a consultant. He is my advisor. He inspires me. He is my friend. Darryl told me, get 2 t-shirts, Alicia. Put on the t-shirts. Ask me about the Purple Popcorn app. And on the back, I did something different. I said, thank you, Women Who Code, for getting me a scholarship to the WWDC 15. I took a picture of the front and back. And of course, on my phone, I fixed it up so you can see front and back. I emailed the picture to Apple and told them, thank you for the invite. You made my dream come true. When I got to the WWDC, they were looking for me. They wanted to highlight me on their Apple Live before the WWDC. So I got to be famous the whole time at the WWDC. Everybody knew who I was. Yes, I'm famous. Thank you very much. I was ecstatic. And from then on, I had been doing interviews. I have did a discussion panel with Pink Tech Conference, about women in technology. And so September comes. I get another invite from Apple. It's a party for the Congressional Black Caucus. And so I got to meet Denise Miller at the WWDC. This is at the Black Caucus Convention. I got to meet all these amazing people. And I was like, oh, okay, I can rest now. Then I reached out to a friend who worked for Microsoft. I said, hey, what you doing? When you come to town, let's have some coffee. And he was like, well, have you heard about the pitch competition at Rainbow Push Coalition? He said, this is the perfect opportunity to push your domestic violence act. And I was like, well, no, I didn't hear about it, but let me go ahead and see if I can submit, my act. Well, it was too late for me to submit my act. But I did get to go to the pitch competition and meet Jesse Jackson. And also, they acknowledged me, Microsoft acknowledged me for women making changes in the community and awarded me a Microsoft Surface Pro 4. I'm an actor. So I am an actor. So I kindly handed it over to my husband. And so from that event, I was like, the next day, everybody knew Hillary was coming to town. So I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to wear my Women of Code t-shirt, taking advice from my boy, Darryl Lou. And I'm going to get close. I'm going to try to get next to Hillary and see if I can get a picture of her with Women of Code on there, to advertise Women of Code. Didn't get that close. So as they were rushing her out, I was like, Hillary, love you. And she said, Women Who Code, love it. And I was like, yes. I was in heaven. I was like, yes. So not only did I get to push my mobile app, I also got to get Women of Code words coming out of Hillary Clinton's mouth. And I want to tell everybody, and my journey still continues. And it's never too late to make a change and fight a cause. My cause is domestic violence and empowering women. I am director of the Atlanta chapter of Women Who Code. My name, I've been married 34 years. I have 3 kids, 33, 32, 29. I have 8 grandbabies. My name is Alicia Carr. I am the CEO and founder of the Purple Evolution People. Thank you. Good. Okay.